Yeah, the way the Ju Jus evolved is actually they started before I joined the band. They actually got together and did their practices at Godwin High School in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They actually used the band room, and there they would get together, and the original group, of course, was made up of Max Colley, who played the saxophone, also Rod Shepard, who played bass and lead guitar, and then also the drummer Bill Gorski. The sound started pulling together when I first heard some of the recordings, even before I joined the band. They did a lot of the old Beatles songs, and they played at different assemblies at school and at their high school and everything. And then as time evolved, later on, as I have mentioned before, that I was with a gentleman by the name of Phil Shoemaker. He played the gut bucket, which was actually an old, like a wash tub with a broomstick and a piece of rope, and he was able to pull back on that with the tension and get different bass sounds. And at that time I was playing a 12-string guitar. We were actually practicing out in the middle of a parking lot at a restaurant, and that's where Rod Shepard of the Ju Jus heard me sing, and of course he invited me to their practices, and of course I did so. And then as time went on, I started writing songs for the band. We had a manager, Jim Geeting, who did a great job for us. He started getting us around to places like the Ponytail, different teenage nightclubs. Later we had a chance to perform with Chubby Checker at East Grand Rapids High School. We were actually the opening act, and then of course Chubby Checker came on after us. As time went on, we recorded several songs, and of course our big one, which hit #2 under Yesterday, was entitled You Treated Me Bad. And that, like I said, hit #2 on WLAV in Grand Rapids, and one of the or two of the DJs that were responsible for that particular success was Jack Hoppus and also Dick McKay at WLAV radio. From there we continued to record, and the rest is history.
Who were the greatest influences in terms of music to your group, do you feel?
At that time, of course, it was in the 60s, and I would say the biggest influences to us were the Beatles, Jerry and the Pacemakers, also the Rolling Stones, Chad and Jeremy. Those are a few that come to my mind.
How did the name Ju Jus come around? How did you...
Well, you know, that's kind of interesting. I wondered, and I asked the guys in the band how they originally got their name, and it happened to be that the sax player, Max Colley, had a little brother, and he was real little, and they used to call him Junior Max. They called Max Junior, but his little brother couldn't say Junior, so he called him Ju Jus. So that's how the band got its name.
How do you feel about the rebirth of quote-unquote garage music? And your group basically put that word on the face of the map, garage music. Could you give us a definition in your own words with that?
Actually, it's just as you said. It started out in the garage. We actually practiced our music in the garage, and which attracted a lot of the neighborhood, and of course we kind of developed our own little set of groupies, or whatever, group of groupies, and it was fun to do it outdoors. But eventually Rod Shepard, his parents owned a house that was vacant, and we were actually able to use the whole house for our practicing, which made it a lot easier than being outdoors.
Very nice. Very nice. Could you give us another sampling of another Ju Jus tune that you've done in the past? That would be nice to hear.
Yeah, well, we recorded one. The very first song that we recorded was called Runaround.
Okay.
And at that time, if I remember right, we didn't have a bass player on the recording. The original recording was I played harmonica, which I didn't do today, but I can. I played harmonica on Runaround on the introduction. And of course we had the drummer, we had the rhythm, you know, I was playing rhythm guitar too in the harmonica, and then we had Rod Shepard, who played lead guitar. I don't think he actually did any bass on that particular recording. It's kind of an upbeat, kind of well, it's a real 60s sounding song, but it's a little more up-tempo.
Can you tell us about the labels, or the record labels that you've been on? You've been on a few, if I...
You mean on record labels beyond the Ju Jus, or just the Ju Jus?
With the Ju Jus and beyond. I mean, what record labels have you been affiliated with?
I started on the Fenton label out of Sparta, Michigan. Mm-hmm. And of course, we recorded on that label, and many, many rock and roll bands did. from our area recorded on that label. It became a very popular label. And then after I started doing some recording on my own, I still stayed on Fenton for a while, but then I ended up going to Nashville and getting a producer, Chuck Chelman. And then, of course, I started recording there, and I was doing more country music, that type of thing. So that was it. So I became on another label. This particular label that Chuck Chelman had was called Renegade Records.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time went on, getting back to the Ju Jus started being bootlegged, and they were being bootlegged on several labels. I'm just trying to remember some other labels we were on. I think it was Pebbles, and we were on I think it was Midnight Records. Actually, Midnight Records was one of our distributors for the Ju Jus in New York City, in the Empire State Building. That's where the Midnight Records comes from. There were other labels. You kind of caught me a little bit off guard. And also, I did some recording. I used some recordings and from the record company in Cincinnati, Ohio, called Jewel Records, also
mm-hmm.
too.
Very good. Did you ever make TV appearances? And if so, what television shows were you on?
Yeah, actually, the Ju Jus, we made a TV appearance when I had that record out called Gentle Rain, mm-hmm. and we actually had people in the background we had umbrellas up, and it was filmed in an old hotel mm-hmm. in Grand Rapids. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we had WZZM, Channel 13 was there, and they did the filming. I think it was really fun. And we were all, like I said, we had umbrellas around us. People were shooting squirt guns to make it look like it was really raining while we were playing the song. So that's one place that we were filmed. Mm-hmm. Also, Bill Gorski, our drummer, always brought a camera along, and either he did it or he had his brother or somebody in the audience, of course, film it because he was playing the drums on 8mm film. So we got a lot of old 8mm film of the Ju Jus too.
Is Mr. Gorski still around, or is he?
Yes, he's still around.
Okay.
I imagine he's still in Grand Rapids, although I heard that he might have moved to Muskegon, Michigan, and that he was going to become an attorney, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, but he has movies of the old Ju Jus.
He does,
from the old days.
Right, and I also have the movie that he let me use years ago too, okay. Where we've actually put it on other formats.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a 30-second break.